Welcome back to the Toa Factory for our regularly scheduled program. Toa Factory Episode 7. Going on from now, I'm going to be adjusting the style a little bit. Instead of just focusing on the 6 standard elements, we're going to be adding in all of the secondary elements as well. So we'll have stone, air, water, fire, ice, earth, light, shadow, gravity, psionics, iron, plasma, plant life, magnetism, lightning, and sonics. But I am going to keep the wheel of elemental powers, so I'll only have 6 elements going at a given time, and I think I'll say that once I use one of them, I'll swap out for another one. That way we won't have too many of one element coming out at a time. So I'm going to throw all of these in here and just shake it around until 6 of them pop out, and those 6 will be the first elements. So we've got sonics, stone will be the second element, gravity, ice, earth, plasma. I like this mix because we have 3 standard elements and 3 secondary elements. So we've got the new elemental microfigures going here onto the wheel of elemental powers. And we'll give it a spin to find that our first Toa will be a Toa of gravity. I'm excited to do a Toa of gravity. Gravity feels like the most overpowered element. In the story, they actually nerfed it a little bit to where a Toa of gravity has to actually charge up their elemental powers, and then they can only use a certain amount at a time before they have to recharge. Because, fire is nice, air is cool, but gravity is a fundamental force of nature. So gravity is just kind of next level. For the color scheme, I'm going to go with black and purple. These classic Bionicle purple pieces are just absolutely fantastic, probably just because there are so few of them, so they're more rare, they're more interesting. The eye color, I went with this pink because it just seems to complement the purple well. I have these tube pieces in purple. So these, in conjunction with those long red axles, will become the weapons. Since I have very few since I have very few pieces in this color, I want to use the ones that I have to give as much purple to this character as possible. The Picari is the only mask that I have in this color, so this will automatically become the mask of this Toa. And it's not a bad mask to have for a Toa of gravity. You can think they combine their gravity powers with the mask of strength, and they are just unstoppable. So to begin this build, I have an idea going into this. It's not going to be the most creative, most exciting build. It's actually going to be fairly standard with the reverse torso, because I like the concept of a Toa of gravity being almost sort of scrunched down by their own power. Like they have so much gravitational energy that it sort of contracts their own body. So this Toa will be a bit shrunken, compacted by their own elemental power. So I'm giving it one kicking leg and then one stationary leg, and using a very wide hip design because of what I was talking about earlier, the broad, short, compacted Toa of gravity. And from the beginning, I knew I was going to use a black torso. I knew I was going to use black limbs. A, because I don't have them in purple, and purple and black are the primary colors of the Toa of gravity. So for the neck here, I'm going to use one of these pieces. I'm not sure what they're called. They're a little bit different from normal Technic connectors. They have an extra ridge, which is there for some kind of Technic purpose. I'm not sure what it is, but it'll work functionally as our neck piece here. And I'm adding these discs on the shoulders because, well, I don't know why. Basically, it feels very sci-fi to me. A Toa, like gravity, is a very science fiction sort of power. And these shoulder discs, to me, feel very sci-fi. If you've ever watched Futurama, there are a lot of costume designs in there, or character designs, where they have big discs on the shoulders. And it's just sort of a classic sci-fi kind of look. Like if you think like 1950s science fiction, they'd have a lot of shoulder discs. So this is the basic design of our Toa. She's a Toa of gravity. She's hunched over because of the weight of her own power. And I'm going to go and give her these batons here, which is what we'll say they are. It's a bit tight getting it all the way down, but it works. And ideally I would have used black axles instead of these red ones. But you can only really see them if you look down the edge of the rod or if you look inside the hand. So there's minimal red actually available. But I didn't have this length of axle in black, so I went with the red. And here we go, adding our Pakari. I'm also going to make it optional just to have both stationary legs, since it's more solid when you're trying to pose or move the Toa around. Or you can switch back for some awesome gravity-powered, Pakari-powered kicking action. Like, if this Toa, if she got in a fight with Anua, we'll just say, like, an arm wrestling match, she would definitely win. With the power of gravity and the extra power of the Pakari, I don't think there's anyone who has the capacity for more strength power than this Toa. And we're going to name her Baku. Ba being used in Balta, but also being the prefix for gravity in the Bionicle lore, and then Ku coming from Takua. Baku also low-key coming from Baku. The three words that would be used to describe Baku are unshakable, confident, and guardian. In the story that I'm concocting, in the grand universe that the Toa Factory exists in, this Toa of gravity lives on a floating island with one other breed of Matoran and Toa. One other element takes residence there. I'm not going to say who it is just yet, but later on down the line, I think they'll come up. But the power of gravity and then the second elemental power keeps this flying island floating throughout the Matanui universe. And it sort of travels around mainly to keep away from enemies. It's a safety, it's protection. And on this island, they guard many of the deepest secrets of the history of Matanui. These Toa and Matoran are actually aware of the purpose of the Great Spirit Robot. They're aware of the history of Barra Magna, while few other inhabitants of the Matoran universe are. And that's why their island is mobile, so they can escape, they can keep these secrets safe from any attackers. And as for her personality, Baku is quite relaxed. She isn't easily affected by the events that happen around her, not easily impressed, not easily saddened. It takes a lot to get an emotional reaction from Baku. Not that she's unemotional, she is just quite in command of herself. She's calm in crisis, and she is highly stable. As for her skill, she is tremendously strong with a strength of 9. Her speed is very low. She is not fast at all. Speed is a 2. That strength comes from having a lot of gravitational energy and just a lot of raw muscle power, and that comes at the expense of maneuverability and speed. Her intelligence is also going to be a little bit below average. It's going to be a 4. No particular reason there. That's just what it is. Her courage, a little bit below average. It's going to be a 4. Because of her situation on her island, her main duty is to protect the secrets held within her island. So when it comes to fight or flight, she is always going to choose flight. Her skill is also going to be a bit lower. It's going to be a 3. Again, that's because her primary function is not to fight, not to attack. It's to retreat when necessary and make that kind of strategic decision. So she doesn't put a lot of effort into her skill. Also, since she's just so strong, so she can basically just beat up any opponent without having to think too hard about it. She just has that strength. And her endurance is also going to be quite strong. It is going to be an 8. I just think a Toa of Gravity would be very strong and they would be really tough. All right, and I'm going to just say that in specific instances where Baku has to carry a lot of stuff, and I'm talking like a lot of stuff. She's carrying like a whole village on her back. She uses her power over gravity to make herself lighter, to make everything that she has to carry lighter, and her speed goes up tremendously. So her speed is either a 2 or a 7. In the instances where she has just a bunch of stuff to move around, she uses her elemental power to make herself extra fast. And that is basically Baku. Not the boldest build here. The only real differences I did were inverting the torso and then adding those shoulder discs. But I think this is a good start to our secondary elements being added into the Toa Factory. I'm very happy with Baku. I think that the black with the purple is a very simple color scheme, but it's very sleek, very elegant, and I absolutely love it. Baku, I'm a fan of Baku's. You might also notice that Baku is quite similar to another Toa who has passed through the Toa Factory. That was completely by accident. I finished Baku and then I was like, wait a second, I've made almost this exact same Toa before. So yeah, sorry for the repetitiveness, but what can I say? When a build works, it works. And that is all for episode 7 of the Toa Factory. As usual, keep sending your own mocks to nuparu'sworkshop23@gmail.com. And I've got a big old stockpile of fan mocks in my email just waiting to be added. But life has got me pretty busy, so I will get to those as soon as I can. And as usual, thanks for hanging around, and we'll catch you later.